Welcome! You're cooking with Mrs. Salisbury. Today we'll be making buttermilk scones. The reason I love to make these is because it's everything we normally have on hand and we don't need any special ingredients. So let's get started. I want to remind everyone, when you measure flour, make sure you put it in the measuring cup, fluff it up, spoon that flour in, knife upside down, level off. Otherwise you could easily get a half, a whole lot more flour than you need. I've already pre-measured this, so let me get the measuring cups out. So in this bowl I have 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to need 1 tablespoon of sugar. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I always get the non-aluminum baking powder. I'm going to need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, to mix this, I always like to use a wire whisk. As I say, don't make a dust storm, just slowly stir this in. If you don't have a whisk, then you can use a spoon. You can even use your hand. I put gloves on. I'm tired of having dough all over today, so I'm going to put gloves on. All right, there we go. This is not for the dough. This is just for the dry ingredients or a light batter. Okay, let's get a large bowl. We're going to put our flour, baking soda, sugar, and baking powder in this bowl. And then we're going to add 5 tablespoons of cold butter. It has to be cold, and I have it in little tiny cubes, as you see. So I'm going to break that up here, little tiny cubes. And then I'm going to work this in. I'm going to cut it. It's called cutting in. You can use a fork. I think it's really fast. Use your hands as long as you don't warm that butter up and you move quickly. You don't want to make this into a dough because we have to add our liquid. So I'm going to cut this in. Some people say till it looks like cornmeal. I always say it looks more like the size of small peas. So let's cut this in quickly. But I think your hands are wonderful tools and they're really fast. I have a fork here, but I'll save that for mixing, or a spoon. All right, I'm putting this in. That was salted butter, 5 tablespoons. Okay, these are so fast to make. You guys will love them. Okay, here we go. So just kind of go through the flour a little bit. Make sure you don't have any big chunks. And I'll show you what this looks like, so make sure you can do it. About the size of small peas. Okay, you're done. I want to keep that cold. Next, this is really fast. Next, 3/4 cup of milk. Always make sure you get down eye level to look. And I have 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. You can also use vinegar. So when you stir it, you'll say, hey, that got a little bit thick. It's supposed to. It'll thicken it up. If you have buttermilk, you can use 3/4 cup of buttermilk. I don't have any, so instead I'm using the milk with the lemon juice. Pour it in all at once. You can stir. I'm going to have a bigger spoon here. Stir this to form a dough. I'm not putting my hands in at this point. I don't want to wear it. So I'm going to stir this and it forms the dough really fast. I'm going to move this out of the way. My oven, by the way, is on 400 degrees. I preheated my oven 400 degrees. So here I have my dough. Next, I have a little bit of flour here. I'm going to lightly flour my plastic wrap. That way the mess all stays here. I'm going to turn my dough out. Set this in the sink. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top. Now you're going to knead this lightly. I always say with the quick bread, let go of it. Don't work it, but sometimes you have to knead it just a tiny bit. So we're going to knead this just a tiny bit, and then I'm going to cut it. I'll kind of make it into a rectangle. I'm going to cut it in half because we're going to make 2 circles. So we're going to make 1-inch circles, so you may need to knead it just a tiny bit more, but don't over knead it. Now, I always kind of go like this, like I'm making a mushroom. Flatten the top, I go around. I want this 1-inch thick, otherwise they're not going to puff up. They're going to be hard Crispies instead of a beautiful scone. Next, just take a table knife cut it in 4 pieces, set it on your ungreased baking sheet. Here's our ungreased baking sheet. Let me do the other circle here. They are so fast to make. Now, the best thing is you can bake it right now, 400 degrees. I bake mine around 12-13 minutes. Make sure you check the side, not the top. You can also put these in a freezer bag, a Ziploc bag, freeze it. You can freeze scones, just put them right in. And then when you take them out, you can bake them frozen, but you're going to drop that oven temperature 25 degrees. So instead of 400 degrees, you're going to have it at 375. Check the sides again, bake it around 15 to 17 minutes. You're going to bake it a bit longer. Now, you have a shiny finish on the top, which I think would be good. You don't have to. We have an egg white with a tablespoon of water, and I'm just going to brush the top of our scones, and it'll give it a beautiful shiny finish. Look how fast these are. Seriously, this is real time. You just saw me make them. So fast to make. You can sprinkle just granulated sugar on. I happen to have some sugar crystals, so I'm going to sprinkle some of those on so it'll just glisten a little bit, and I think it'll be really pretty. Make sure you have the scones, you know, a couple inches apart because they will rise. So a few crystals on the top, and we're ready to put them in the oven. I'll see you when we get back. I just took our buttermilk scones out of the oven, and that was exactly 13 minutes. And if you see here, let me pick this up. I just took them out of the oven, 400 degrees, 13 minutes, light golden brown here. Check the sides, 12 to 13 minutes would be perfect. You could check yours at 12 if you'd like. Always take a knife, barely insert it, and it will split just like this. We're gonna put butter on, you know it. We're gonna put butter on, and then I thought a raspberry jam would be lovely. You can have whatever jam you want. Let's have a lovely raspberry jam here. Oh, these are going to be good, and you have all these ingredients right at your fingertips. Look at that. Perfect. Thank you for cooking with Mrs. Salisbury. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Enjoy.